Welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone podcast with KOMO Sports Director Niko Tamurian and Najee Moye.
Well, hey there, and welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone. I'm Niko Tamurian. He is Najee Moye. Najee, the Seahawks are the talk of the NFL.
How funny is that? If you were listening to last week's episode of the KOMO Sports End Zone, first of all, thank you. You're a preferred fan and listener.
What are the benefits of that? I'm not sure there are. But...
You get me calling you a preferred fan and listener. That's really what you get. And
there you go.
And you get a high five from Niko anytime you see him out in public.
Totally.
And me also. I said on this very podcast that the Seahawks would, I didn't say decimate, but I'd say would win in DC against the Commanders on Sunday Night Football. This will serve as their coming out party, the Sam Darnold coming out party.
We should play that audio.
He's out. The secret's out. The secret's out, and the whole entire team. I saw Sports Illustrated before we did the podcast rank the Seattle Seahawks as the number one on the power rankings, the number one team in the NFL.
How about that?
How about that?
You called it.
I'm hearing from Seahawks fans that are just like, this is great, but I'm nervous.
Sure.
Because as a normal Seattle sports fan, Mariners fans, everyone else, they are also they're nervous in the service, which that's okay. It's okay to be on top. The Seahawks are, as I said before at the beginning of the year, a very, very good football team, Niko.
Well, and it leads to something I'd like to say about the matter. First of all, well done on your call last week.
Thank you.
Admittedly, I was not as bullish. I mean, I had faith in the Seahawks team, but I think I said something like 27-17 or something
sure.
like
My
that.
score was much more expansive, I think.
Sure.
I don't remember what it was. It wasn't exactly a blowout, but
it was blowout.
It was blowout-ish. It wasn't what we saw on Sunday.
No. But I will say one of the reasons that you had the confidence to say that is because you've watched this team all year.
Yeah.
And my one gripe with all this sudden love is that it gives off the notion that the Seahawks suddenly got good. Suddenly on November 2nd, when they beat up on the Commanders, they found something. They've been this good all year.
This good all year. You mentioned it last week that the Seahawks, the only two losses they've had, first game of the year against the Niners. You know, that game, it's first game of the year. You know,
yeah.
And then the 3-point loss to the Buccaneers, another good team in the NFC. They've lost by a combined 7 points.
Exactly. And that Buccaneers game, the entire secondary, starting anyway, whether it was coming into the game or during the course of the game, was injured.
Yeah.
And Baker, being a good quarterback like he is, took advantage of it. That's all it was. And now you're 6-2.
And that game took a game-winning field goal for Tampa Bay to win.
Still took the game-winning field goal.
So.
And so that's that's the point here, because national folks will just say, oh, that lost the Bucs 38-35. They're not going to watch a ton of film on it. They weren't certainly watching it intently. They probably had about 8 screens or red zone or something like that.
Sure. And that's okay.
And that's okay. When you have that job, you got to cover 32 teams.
Right.
But we were looking at it close up and saying, okay, everything we just said, the secondary got decimated during the course of the game. Guys were pressed in the duty that otherwise wouldn't have seen the field. And yet they still almost beat a team that is probably most likely going to the playoffs in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
That was even though it was a loss, that was a sign to me.
I said I don't believe in moral victories, but that would be a moral victory, The Seahawks are an excellent team. One thing that stuck out to me this weekend, this Sunday night, was how disciplined the Seahawks played on offense and defense. Even when the game was well out of reach from the Commanders. I mean, and say what you will about whether or not Dan Quinn should have pulled.
Yeah,
he
should have. Yeah,
he should have. But Jaden Daniels just kind of has a history of being made out of glass. It is what it is. But that being said, the Seahawks team still played with heart and discipline, even deep into the fourth quarter. You know, I remember last year I was thinking about this the other day. We went to I joined you at a Seahawks game. I think it was either Minnesota or it was Green Bay. They lost both games.
Yeah.
I'm 0-3 for going to the first Seahawks game with Niko, by the way, last year.
You shouldn't have given that stat away.
I know, I wasn't good. It was Buffalo, it was Green Bay, and it was Minnesota, and they lost all of them. However, I remember one time we were sitting in the press we're waiting for a press conference to start, a post-game press conference with Mike McDonald, and we could hear him in the locker room tearing into his team.
Yeah.
I was like, this team will suit up. This team will straighten up going forward, because Mike McDonald is not going to allow any sort of foolishness, any sort of it was a game where there was a lot of penalties. It just didn't make sense. The Seahawks kind of beat themselves. And we're seeing this year the fruits of that labor. Things like that. I think the defense didn't exactly shock me, but this is the defense we're used to seeing from the Seahawks.
Right.
Big Cat, I said at the beginning of this year, will be maybe the MVP of the defense. But we didn't see him on the stat sheet so much. We saw him as take up blocks.
Yeah.
From the center. He was excellent. He was completely excellent, and the whole entire team was excellent. I have no notes on this game, Niko.
No, well, I mean, really, it was all positive. And I'd like to kind of piggyback on what you said a minute ago, because what we were talking a moment ago, the Seahawks didn't suddenly get good. We've seen it since September, but in reality, you saw those building blocks last year. Yeah. Moments like that you can remember where they did that, like, had kind of a, awakening, so to speak, in the locker room, or, they still finished with 10 wins, or, for me, we talk about the defense. You talk about that trade for Ernest Jones last year, that from that point on, they were a top 5 defense the rest of the way. And to me, the most important thing is Mike Macdonald's got this team in his mold now.
Yeah.
You look at some of the off-season moves, and some of them, yes, they were on offense, trading away Geno, trading away DK. And the offense is better now.
Yeah.
And you traded a superstar like DK Metcalf. You look at, just like you said, the discipline and things like that. Mike Macdonald often uses the word alignment. And what he means by that is the team is, one of his slogans he likes to say is 12 is 1.
Yep.
There's not an individual thing here. They're all fighting for the same thing. One of the signs that I really loved, it was after the game. They were doing on NBC Sports the post-game interviews, and it was JSN, and it was Leonard Williams, and it was Darnold, and they're all laughing, having a good time, joking with it. I'm like, this team genuinely wants to win for each other. Now, that's not to say the other 31 don't, but there's something about this team and the culture. There was already a culture because the Seahawks are the Seahawks. They're a prime franchise. People love to play for that team, but Mike's got the team in his mold now, and I think that's a dangerous thing. Yes, you can look at a lot of it. I mean, to me, the biggest story, obviously the emergence of JSN, but it comes not just to see his talent continues to ascend, but at the same time, Clint Kubiak's offensive scheme is working wonders. It's perfect for him. It's perfect for Sam Darnold. I think it will be perfect for the newly acquired Rashid Shaheed. And so, it's a lot of things coming together at the same time, but it's all in Mike Macdonald's vision of alignment.
Right.
It's his vision. Well, what is his vision? It's everybody aligning on this common goal. And it starts with this one. That's not a knock on Pete or anybody else before him. This is just what this team is. Oftentimes these things don't happen overnight, but here we are in year 2, tied for the best record in the NFC with the Seahawks at 6-2, tied at the top of the NFC West, coming up with back-to-back divisional games. And what, while I would say take it easy just a little bit, because we're only halfway through the season, it's impossible to not be excited about where this team is right now.
Especially considering that everything is kind of firing for the team. I would say the running game, again, has a little bit, yet to be desired. We were talking about fantasy before we started recording this podcast, and I do have Kenneth Walker on my team. And,
even though I tried to trade for him.
Yeah, and I was like, give him time. Yeah, give him time. But, the important thing is what we saw on Sunday is the threat of the run.
Yeah.
Even the threat of the run is keeping like 7-8 guys in the box.
Yeah.
So Sam Darnold can go over the top and hit the tight ends.
Exactly.
Or hit JSN, who is, by the way, not even sneaky, probably the leader in the NFL offensive player of the year.
I would say so. He leads in yards and
catches. And I mean, and that being said, the Seahawks only suited up 4 receivers for Sunday's game.
You would have never known.
You would never have known, though. And you mentioned Rashid Shaheed, and I can tell you, anyone who's played Madden or watched the Saints play, he's probably one of the fastest receivers in the league.
Right.
Pick him up in fantasy.
Well, and that's the thing. He is a vertical threat.
Yeah.
He's what he brings to the table is what the Seahawks had in mind when they signed Marquez Valdes-Scantling in the offseason.
Yeah.
Shaheed is certainly at a better spot at this point in his career, but he also, special teams game. He's a great kick and punt returner. And so you had Torrey Horton returning punts and also, scoring 2 touchdowns in general offense. This will take some of the load off there.
Yeah.
It's a lot to like with that move. And again, here's the biggest thing, Najee, that I like about the trade. We can talk about the X's and O's all day. We can talk about how it's one more weapon, how creative Clint Kubiak is, and his familiarity with Clint Kubiak from their time together in New Orleans just last year.
Yeah.
Those are all hugely important factors that led John Schneider to make that trade, giving up a 4th and a 6th round pick. But to me, the most important part about that is the message it sends. that this is a team that we just talked about. You don't have notes because there's no glaring issues in that loss to the Commanders.
Sure.
You look at this team. I'm not saying you don't literally have notes. I'm just saying.
No, well, I mean, I'll pull up the stats.
But
so
but to the point. But there's no. You look at this team. There's not a hole. Like they filled that with Gray Zabel, right? Or they filled what they needed to perfectly this offseason. And so, but yet they're still going out and making a pretty aggressive move for a playmaker. Why are you doing that? Because they are in win now mode. Of course, they always want to win, but this is a team that is going to do whatever it takes to even get 1% better to try and get this team back to the Super Bowl. Yeah. Whether or not that happens, who knows? But I love the message it sends. Like, hey guys, you guys are playing so damn good right now that I'm going to pull off this trade. I'm going to give up 2 draft picks to give you somebody that might just help a little bit even on offense.
They're doing something. I mean, it's a measured risk. I mean, these draft picks are not first round picks.
Right. Yeah.
But this is not a first round type of player that you would trade for.
Sure.
Other teams like the Indianapolis Colts gave 2 first round picks up today for Sauce Gardner from the New York Jets. Now, Sauce Gardner was a highly touted cornerback coming out of Cincinnati. He had some pretty solid years. I don't know if he's worth 2 first round picks.
It's like the Jamal Adams trade revisited.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, hopefully Sauce doesn't get hurt like Jamal did. But
exactly. Yeah. And I like Sauce Gardner too. And the Colts are kind of in the same sort of boat, even though they had a kind of a stinker this past week. They're in the same sort of boat as the Seahawks, is that they are a team that is thinking this could be it.
Yeah.
This could be it. We're thinking not just playoff, but we're thinking AFC and NFC championship games for the Seahawks for sure. I mean, now the whole entire country has us ranked fairly high.
Yeah.
It is so glaringly obvious. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I am naturally a New York Giants fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I since I moved to Seattle, I have kind of melded in with the culture, specifically with the Seahawks. I'm a Seahawks supporter and I'm a Seahawks fan also. Watching this Giants play the Niners on Sunday morning, horrendous experience.
Sure.
Just from even visually watching the game, penalties, drops, sacks. It was the exact opposite watching the Seahawks,
right.
this Sunday night against a team that is not exactly a pushover team.
Right.
Dan Quinn will bring his guys to play every single week. You just can't help. You can't help to be motivated, especially looking forward as to what the Seahawks have in the schedule going forward. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. They have 2 straight divisional games, one against the Cardinals, and I think the Rams are the week afterwards.
Rams on the road, yeah.
First of all, we want to welcome all the Cardinals fans to this.
Oh,
podcast.
Hey guys.
Hey, how are you? And they had a good showing on Monday night against the Cowboys. The Cowboys, I'm not that sure what's going on there.
Yeah. Well, it's led to something of a quarterback controversy. Obviously, Kyler Murray is still trying to come back to health, but the Cardinals are already announcing back on Tuesday that Jacoby Brissett will be the starter in this game. Hard to deny how good he looked against the Cowboys.
Right.
Nice that Marvin Harrison Jr. was finally utilized. He's a great talent, but Kyler had just been struggling, and they're going into this game. They know how good the Seahawks and their defense are, and they're going to trust Brissett.
Yeah.
And I think that's telling. And so, if you're following this game, you also remember, back on Thursday night, Seahawks beat the Cardinals, a closer game than it probably should have been.
Right.
But the Seahawks have gotten better every week. The Cardinals have kind of declined other than this Cowboys game. And I think it's a unique situation, again, with the kind of cover that Kyler is still recovering, but that Brissett is going to get the call. I think more than anything, it's not just a team that, is 3-5 or whatever. It's more so Kyler wasn't getting it done, and here comes Brissett, and he lit up Dallas. Dallas's defense is terrible, but you look at it and okay, so what does it mean for the Seahawks game? Well, I'm not going to try to sound like a coach here, but the Seahawks defense is so elite. It's to a point where I kind of look at them and I'm like, I don't care if they're playing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't care if they're playing Mahomes and the Chiefs or any of those guys. I'm not saying they would beat everybody else in the NFL, of course not, but I'm saying they're always going to hold their own. They're going to keep you in the game.
Yeah. What the Seahawks definitely don't need to do is look ahead to the Rams in 2 weeks.
Yeah. That's going to be a great game.
And that's probably going to be another game of the year. I feel like in the NFL we had 3 game of the year opportunities going just around the league, but I think that's definitely going to be a game of the year. It's a division game. It's the second time the Seahawks play the Cardinals. They both teams have learned a lot. As you mentioned, both teams kind of going in opposite directions. Jacoby Brissett's a veteran. He is served as a backup in many places. He's also played well in many places too. Not well enough to be a starter, but well enough to maybe spell a guy who, like Kyler Murray, who's coming off of an injury. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets moved in the offseason. I mean, I don't know what his contract is like, but I mean, the Cardinals kind of have this guy, and he's been in the league for
former
about,
number one pick.
Former number one pick. He's been in the league for about 6-7 years, and just kind of like what's happened.
It's interesting because he is a supreme kind of talent.
Yeah,
he's unique ability, and
there's just not
just
a lot
hasn't
of
clicked.
There's just not a lot around him. I mean, I don't want to see him end up as a Jet next year or anything like that.
I remember thinking, I think it was like 22, give or take, 2022. I'm like,
we talked about. I know
my Super Bowl prediction was the Cardinals and the Chargers.
Yeah,
because I just thought that Kyler and Justin Herbert were going to take that leap, and certainly Herbert looks good right now.
That's such
an
odd phrase, Cardinals and Chargers.
But that's that was the believed trajectory for Kyler Murray. And listen, it's interesting because there's some playmakers on that Cardinals team.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously they've got the injury.
Definitely.
Connor's out too,
Connor's
and they're dealing with a lot of injuries. But these are, as we head into this matchup Sunday at Lumen Field, these are two teams on opposite trajectories right now.
Yeah.
And it's again, never say never in the NFL, but I mean, and I know the Seahawks have not been as strong at home as they've been on the road. Mike McDonald 11-1 on the road.
Sure.
As Seahawks head coach, third best start ever on the road for a head coach in NFL history. But I'm going to go ahead and say it, man. I think Seahawks, I don't often predict a blowout. I always like to play it safe one way or another. I think Seahawks win this thing 31-10, 34-10.
Some kind of like a copy and paste from last week.
A little bit. I mean, I just don't. I think Jacoby Brissett is a good quarterback. I think he's a better option at this point than Kyler. I think Jonathan Gannon made the right move.
Yeah.
I just look at the Seahawks defense being elite as it is. I see the offense finding something. And again, the thing with the offense is, JSN gets the headlines and rightfully so, but it was Torrey Horton with 2 touchdown catches.
The rookie.
It was Elijah Arroyo with a touchdown catch.
Yeah.
And nobody will look at this when it comes to the Seahawks offense. But I'm going to tell you something. The numbers aren't going to jump off the page for Kenneth Walker III or Zach Charbonnet. I believe K9 had 42 rushing yards. Charbonnet was in the 20s. But I'm going to tell you something. They both had some strong carries early on that caused the Commanders' secondary to cheat up.
Yeah.
And that's why Cody White was wide open on that touchdown. That's why Torrey Horton was wide open on that touchdown.
It's the threat of the run.
It's the threat of the run, and literally not having the slightest clue as to what Clint Kubiak is cooking up. You look at any given formation the Hawks are in, you have no idea what plays are being called because they can run like 6 different things out of each thing, probably more.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I like the Seahawks to win big in this game because I don't see them slowing down right now. At least not by the Cardinals. The Rams, certainly that's going to be a game. That'll be a game. That's not even to say like, I think the Seahawks are on the table. No, like LA on the road, that's going to be tough. The Rams likely favored and probably could win that.
Later on down the line, the Seahawks face the Colts. Which record-wise are solid, but you never know with Daniel Jones. So
nice.
But he's doing great. I mean, we can keep on looking at the schedule. So it goes home with the Cardinals, on the road against the Rams. Titans, Vikings, Falcons, Colts I mentioned, Rams again, Panthers surprisingly good, and finish up the year. This year is clipping by.
Isn't it crazy? We're halfway through.
I know it's clipping by.
Halftime of the Cardinals game will be the official halfway point for the Seahawks.
And the last game of the year is another matchup that could be pretty good. The last game between the Niners and the Seahawks. So
that was weird. They bookended it that way. First game and last.
How about that? So is the Niners.
Yeah.
So, I'm ecstatic. I know a lot of Seahawks fans just like, wow, this is crazy because at least people in Seattle kind of coming off of the whole coming out of the whole Mariners sadness. Looking, the Sounders are making progress in the playoffs, trying to anyway. And the Storm just hired a new coach, and Sunday night. Okay, the World Series was it over on Sunday? I don't remember.
Saturday.
It was over on Sunday, and you see something to make you feel good, as with clocks fall back in the big dark. Be happy about Rave Green and Blue.
I'm going to say something about that win over the Commanders, and we've kind of talked about everything from that win to the Cardinals preview. I really think this is not to say what this team's ceiling will be, because we don't know that. But when you think about the Legion of Boom years and those Super Bowl wins, okay, there were a couple of blowout wins in the 2012 season. 2013, of course, was the season they won it all.
Yeah.
The 2012 season when a rookie Russell Wilson got him to the playoffs. There was 2 games that really a 3-game stretch that kind of had you going, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. It was a 58-0 win over the Cardinals.
Mhm.
They blew out the Bills 51 something, 52 something, whatever. Then they beat San Francisco 42-13. I mean, 3 straight weeks they obliterated teams back to back to back, and it was kind of like this. Wow, these guys are for real. Like this ceiling is unlimited for
Is this
these
the
guys.
beginning of that?
That
or
was the end of the 2012 season.
Are you saying this year's at the
I'm saying that Sunday's win over the Commanders wasn't by 58 points.
No.
However, it was that same sort of coming out party, like, whoa, this is legit.
Yeah.
These guys are the real deal. I just see the parallels. And this is not to say this team will be as dominant as Legion of Boom. It's not to say they're going to go to back-to-back Super Bowls and win one. Maybe they will.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows?
But it has that same feel. Okay, 2012, the Seahawks were not highly thought of. They're starting this third-round kid out of Wisconsin,
Mhm.
/ NC State.
He's short.
He's like, what's going on with this
Yeah,
Russell
what's
guy,
going on?
And then he, for all he is now, you can say what you want, but he was the guy for a while here.
Yeah.
And he'll be in that Ring of Honor one day.
Yeah.
You look at this team heading into the season. We always talked about it in the offseason, the Vegas Oddsmakers, but that over-under win total at 7.5.
Look where we are now.
They're about to tie it if they can beat the Cardinals Sunday.
Yeah.
Everybody was thinking, is Sam really an upgrade over Geno? Yes. So, right? There's all these things that were said in the offseason that the Seahawks have put to bed and are making statements. I think that the game over the Commanders could very well be, hopefully will be, that moment that similar to 2012, we look back, aha. That's when the rest of the nation woke up to what this team is. And that's when we saw officially this team's ceiling and go on from there.
Also, I think it's interesting that, when a West Coast team goes across country, this is the third time the Seahawks have done this, going full on across country and just kind of laying it into a team.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say lay it into, but, given like the Pittsburgh game.
Yeah.
Not an easy dub, but a solid dub.
Yeah.
The same with Jacksonville, another solid dub, and I think maybe all 3 of those teams, at least 2 of them will make the playoffs this year. In Pittsburgh and Jacksonville, I think, mostly given to the state of their divisions, but making playoffs nonetheless. And the Commanders, you never know. I think Seahawks fans have a lot to be excited this year about this year.
You said 12 back in September or August or something.
I said 12.
And I said 10, maybe 11. You said 12, maybe 13, I think.
As Michael Jordan says, the ceiling is the roof. Whatever that actually means,
well,
I don't
it is
know.
Technically, I guess.
Well,
right?
but yeah, it's the
I love
roof,
MJ.
so.
You know that.
I love MJs. Yes, yeah. I will never not think of that. So, little parentheses. Playing college football 26, bringing back University of North Carolina to greatness that they were never at, actually. And I always, every time I score a touchdown, ceiling is the roof.
There you go.
Yeah,
I need to get back into that game. I've been playing too much Warzone. Shout out if you play. Let's run some Battle Royale.
Yeah.
So I gave my prediction. I think 34-10 Seahawks. What are you going with?
I'm going to go with a little bit more of a moderate type of pick. I'm going to go maybe 24-10. Another solid dub. I don't think there'll be, I think there's tape on the Seahawks. It's the second time the Cardinals have played them. Luckily, it is at home, and the weather will not be really much of an issue, I don't think. Jacoby Brissett, I like him better than Kyler Murray. I think the Seahawks, a good team who plays good all the time.
Yeah.
And then going to a great divisional game the next week. I don't expect a massive blowout by any means, but 14 points,
Yeah, no, in the NFL, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, anytime you get a win, you're happy. I'm going to look to see. I want to see the run game take another step forward.
Same.
I think that, in the Commanders game, you can't be like, they were just passing the ball at will.
Right.
21 of 24 for Darnold, 330 yards, 4
MVP
touchdowns.
candidate.
Yeah, at this point, the numbers say MVP candidate. You got to maintain it for a full season. We're halfway through. So I'm going to look for the run game to kind of do its thing. But ultimately, I mean, listen, you didn't need it against the Commanders. You needed it just enough to make people the defense honest.
Yeah.
And then Darnold just picked everybody apart from there. It'll be interesting to see the type of role that Rashid Shaheed has. He's been around 4 years in the league. It's going to be, it's not like he's some rookie. You got to get up to speed. I would suspect he's at least returning kicks.
At least, yeah.
And that way you can have unknowing. It sounds like Cooper Kupp, we'll see what happens. There probably should be okay, but we'll see what happes. But at the very least, Torrey Horton can focus on being wide receiver 2 or 3.
What I would love is that, at some point during the second quarter, let's say the Seahawks up 10-0 in the second quarter, just if they're at their own 50 or their own 40, or that they just launch a 4 vertical and just see what happens.
I mean, how many times have you seen Rashid Shaheed gets like an 87-yard touchdown or something like that? Because he's just got that top.
Like I said, he's a good guy that if you want to pick up on fantasy, I don't know. He's not receiver 1 or 2. He's not receiver 1 or 2 on your own team, or the Seahawks team. But I mean, he got. I mean, I have him in one league, and he filled in for a receiver that was on a bye week, and he happened to have a crazy game. I forgot. It was
he's capable of it.
He's capable
because he has
yeah.
big playability.
Exactly.
So he can get behind the defense. You can throw him vertical.
That being said, it may be with Cooper Kupp's injury. I think he may play a wide receiver 3 role. I mean, but he also just got traded to the team.
Well,
some
and there's other things. So. Well, the familiarity with Clint's scheme from their time together in New Orleans will be big. Yeah. But I think the other thing to keep in mind there too is, I think, excuse me, I think we'll at least see him in the return game.
Yeah.
Just because, that's, I mean, obviously each team has their own like kind of personnel and whatever, but he can pick that up pretty quickly and he can find holes to run through and things like that. So I think it'll be a fun game to watch. And I think the Seahawks made it even more exciting, not just by beating the Commanders, but by acquiring Rashid. And let's see what happens, man.
Beating the Commanders in the cleanest throwback jerseys in the league.
Can we make those permanent?
Yes, I would love. Like, here's my vision. I would love it if the blue home, right? The white that we'll see later on this year away. Another third alternate, just the green. Yeah. A brighter green with the gray. I would love it. Gray, green, gray, And then, we just kind of keep it kind of simple like that. I love the old school Seahawk.
Yeah.
The original look. I mean, the Seahawk right now looks a little bit too angry all the time.
I think that I wouldn't mind the new Seahawk, but with these colors.
Right.
I think
I don't love the all dark blue.
No, I think the thing with this current jersey, they've had it for a little while.
Yeah.
And certainly it's going to always be associated with the best era in franchise history.
Yeah.
But I think any jersey that's been around for about 13, 14 years, it's kind of outgrown itself a little bit. Unless you have like a timeless classic, like the Colts or Cowboys are never going to switch their jersey.
Yeah.
Right.
I just hope that Seahawks don't do what the Falcons did with it. Remember the Michael Vick era jerseys, when they had all the extra, like flair. And the Seahawks kind of have something similar to that. Just let's not have SEA right here.
Yeah.
Like the Falcons have a gradient jersey, like where the Atlanta Falcons or Atlanta Hawks in 2000.
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah, I would like to see, and I love the gray pants and the blue.
Love the gray pants, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? And I know it's like, well, it's cool because of the throwback, but I think if you made it permanent, like everybody would love it.
Yeah. No, them and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should make their jersey permanent. And the New York Giants also.
And you know what you do for an alternate? You have a black jersey with the green and blue.
This is where we're straying.
Like black jersey, but in that throwback style with some blue and green in there.
It could be good. Maybe an all gray jersey.
Go make it in your NCAA game later.
I'll consider it.
Well, hey, that is your preview. Niko, Najee saying Seahawks are going to win. We're excited about where this team is at. Of course, we love when you like and subscribe and all that good stuff, all that fun stuff. And thanks for joining us here on the KOMO Sports End Zone. I'll give you my rapid reaction from the game when it wraps up on the field Sunday at Lumen Field. And then we got that big one with the Rams. So thanks, Najee.
Thanks, Niko.
Well, thanks to you all for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye.